Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, we'll get you more on the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. Voting began for the third phase of India's general elections in 93 constituencies spread over 11 states and union territories. With Surat already secured by the BJP unopposed, voting is taking place in 25 seats in Gujarat, 11 seats in Maharashtra, 10 seats in Uttar Pradesh and the remaining 14 of the 28 seats in Karnataka. Voting is also taking place in constituencies in Chhattisgarh, Bihar, Assam, West Bengal, Goa and the Union Territory of Dadra and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu. Over 1,300 candidates are vying for victory in the third phase, with 120 of them being women. Among the prominent contenders are notable figures like Union Ministers Amit Shah, Jyotiraditya Scindia, Mansukh Mandavia, Purushottam Rupala, Prahlad Joshi and SP Singh Baghel. The fate of former Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai and AIUDF representative Badruddin Ajmal will also be decided in this phase. In Uttar Pradesh, the current phase is important for Mulayam Singh Yadav family, with Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav's wife Dimple Yadav aiming to retain the Mainpuri Lok Sabha seat. Aditya Yadav, the son of SP National General Secretary Shivpal Yadav, is making his electoral debut from the Budaun Lok Sabha seat. A notable contest will take place in Maharashtra's Baramati between NCP Chief Sharad Pawar's daughter Supriya Sule and Sunetra Pawar, wife of Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar. Prime Minister Narendra Modi cast his vote at Nishan High Secondary School in Ahmedabad, which falls under the Gandhinagar Lok Sabha seat. It is the seat from where Home Minister Amit Shah is contesting against Sonal Ramanbhai Patel from the Congress. Gujarat, a key battleground with 26 parliamentary seats, is up for grabs in this phase of Lok Sabha elections. After casting his vote, Prime Minister showed his inked finger and greeted the crowd gathered there. He also signed the portraits of him made by his fans. The Prime Minister there flashing the sign of vote, his inked finger in Ahmedabad. We saw the Prime Minister cast his vote in the morning in Ahmedabad. The Prime Minister also acknowledged the roaring welcome, the heartwarming welcome he received from the people in Ahmedabad. And the Prime Minister himself setting an example for the countrymen to follow, wherein he requested the countrymen to step out in huge numbers to cast their vote and make this exercise a vibrant and a successful one. Later, speaking to the media persons, Prime Minister Narendra Modi urged people to come out and cast their vote in record numbers. He added that their active participation will certainly make the elections more vibrant. Prime Minister also said that India's election process, election management is an example for the world's democracies to learn from. The world's biggest university should do a case study.
आज तीसरे चरण का मतदान है। मैं देशवासियों को विशेष रूप से आग्रह करूंगा कि लोकतंत्र में मतदान ये सामान्य दान नहीं है। हमारे देश में दान का एक महत्व है और उसी भाव से देशवासी ज्यादा से ज्यादा मतदान करें।
All right, to get more updates on the ongoing electioneering, we're joined in by our correspondents. We're joined in by Gautam Roy from Murshidabad, West Bengal. We're joined in by Akshay Dongre from Bhopal. Akshay, good morning. Coming to you first. All right, we're also joined in by Siddharth Bhardwaj from Chhattisgarh. Good morning, all three of you. Thank you for joining in on DD India News Hour. Akshay, when we talk of the 9 seats that go to polls of the 29 seats in Madhya Pradesh today, spell out more. What do you witness around yourself? Have people started coming in to cast their votes? Though it is a little too early to talk about the voter turnout, but how has the morning begun there in Bhopal?
Well, Preeti, very good morning to you and to all of our viewers. Morning has in fact been quite good as far as the voters are concerned. Huge number of voters have been turning up and have been casting their ballots. But I would like to show you something quite interesting that's happening in Bhopal to increase the voting percentage. I would ask my camera person to show this this very interesting stall that has been set up here by the Election Commission. In fact, the authorities of Bhopal here in the city, and this is in fact a lucky draw. This is for all the voters who will be coming up. They can in fact, especially the first time voters, the early morning voters, they can come here, they can participate in this lucky draw, and there are about 200 prizes that have been set up across the city for the voters who will be participating in this lucky draw exercise. So that's one of the initiative that has been taken by the Election Commission, by the authorities in Bhopal. I would like to come in fact show you inside of what is happening inside the polling booth and what the morning is looking like. There are these kind of polling booths that have been established to ensure that people do not have to stay out. They do not have to stay out and wait in long queues in direct sun and risk their own health. So as you can see, most of the polling booths here that have been set up in Bhopal are covered. These are small buildings, schools, and the polling stations have been set up in particular such a manner that even the queues are not out in the open. They are in a covered space. So that is to ensure that people do not face any kind of health hazard as far as the heat is concerned, especially in the central India. There are about 17 million voters in these 9 constituencies that will be casting their ballot today. About 500,000 first-time voters. There are about 19 districts and over 120 candidates that are taking part. Most of them are in Bhopal. About 22 candidates are participating in elections, and the least number of candidates are in Bhind. So there are 7 candidates there as well. There are 9 constituencies that are going for polls, and all the arrangements are in place to ensure that a higher voter turnout is registered. Because if you compare it with the last time, the second phase of Lok Sabha elections here in Madhya Pradesh at least did not see a huge turnout of voters. The voter turnout remained at about 58%, which was perhaps one of the lowest that was recorded in the second phase of elections. So these are certain initiatives that have been taken place. We asked the Election Commission officials that what was the reason for the lower turnout. They said that perhaps it was because of the voting day being near the weekend, so people took it as a long weekend. There were wedding seasons going on, so many people were not in the city as well. And perhaps this time around we can expect a higher turnout of voters to be registered in the city. Back to you.
All right, so we expect a higher voter turnout in the third phase. From here, I'll bring in Gautam. He's joining us from Murshidabad. Gautam, good morning. You also get us a sense of how has the day begun there. And added to that, you're in Murshidabad. How important is the seat of Murshidabad? Because, there are expectations of how the Trinamool Congress and BJP political binary will be broken this time, and how left is very hopeful of making inroads. Let us get more from you. How do you gauge the political contest in Murshidabad?
Well, morning Preeti and morning to the others as well. I'm in a booth, it's number 185 in Murshidabad right now, and as you can see behind me, polling has been picking up since the morning. The weather has been pleasant comparatively. When you look at the last few days, it was really hot, but it turned a little pleasant with some clouds and breeze last evening, and that has sustained. So it seems people are now coming in to take advantage of the situation. You spoke about the importance of Murshidabad. Yes, it is critical to see whether that boundary of the TMC and the BJP will be broken here, because there's Mohammad Salim. He's CPM General Secretary, a Politburo member, senior leader of the left, who's contesting here in alliance with the Congress. So that will be interesting to watch. And these sort of dynamics are playing out in the other three seats as well. North Malda, Uttar Malda is right now with the BJP. So that was a critical breakthrough that the BJP made in this region, because basically it's in the north of West Bengal that the BJP dominates. This is the Gangetic Plains area here. It's all mixed up. The Congress has its own legacy, vestiges of its legacy to consider, because the nephew of A.B. Ghani Khan Chaudhary, a senior Congress leader, erstwhile senior Congress leader, he's no more. His nephew is contesting from the Dakshin Malda seat, and there's Jangipur to consider as well, where Pranab Mukherjee, the former president, no more again, has represented it twice. So those factors are to consider, apart from the fact that we all know there's a culture of violence in elections in West Bengal, and Murshidabad and Jangipur are two of the worst ones where previous record is concerned. Just to consider some numbers, there are 7,360 polling booths in these four parliamentary constituencies, and 2,860 of them, that's about almost 2/5 of them, are what is known as critical polling stations. Earlier the language used to be sensitive for the Election Commission. They made it critical, where they expect that because of past record something untoward could happen. So far things are peaceful, and let's hope that it remains that way.
All right, so far the things are peaceful and the day has picked up on a good note. From here, I'll bring in Siddharth Bhardwaj, who's joining us from Raipur in Chhattisgarh. Siddharth, you tell us, how has voting begun in Raipur, and also when we talk of the poll contest in Chhattisgarh, of the 7 seats that go to polls today, how do you gauge the political contest? How tough would it be for Congress to prevent BJP from a near sweep again this time around?
Well, first of all, a very good morning to you, Preeti. I'm here at the BIT ground in Raipur, the capital of Chhattisgarh, and as you can see behind me, people are standing in the queues. It's about 8:30 a.m. in the morning, and people are very enthusiastic about casting their ballots. We were having a few words with some of the voters out here, that how are they feeling casting their ballots. So they said that it's their right, to exercise the franchise, and they are very enthusiastic, because this is ultimately they are the ones who will be deciding, who will be representing their constituency. We're talking about Raipur. The battle is bipolar here, and the contest is primarily between the Congress and the BJP. From the BJP side, Brij Mohan Agrawal has been fielded, and from the Congress side, Vikas Upadhyay has been fielded. So the competition is between these two political leaders. As a matter of fact, Brij Mohan Agrawal is a senior leader, and with trust, BJP has fielded him this time around as well. From Raipur, I'm here, and as you can see, I would like to request my camera person to actually pan the camera. You can see these lines where people have come to vote since morning. It's 8:30, like I said, and they are very enthusiastic. They're standing in queues, and happiness is there on their face this time around. Last time in 2019, if I talk about the voting percentage, then it was 66%, but this time around it's likely to increase. Courtesy the weather, Preeti, because it's pleasant out here. It's not scorching heat as usually it is in Chhattisgarh, in Raipur. Weather is pleasant here, so it's obvious that people will come out of their houses and will certainly vote. Talking about the arrangements made by the Election Commission, you can see this is a shelter that has been put by the Election Commission to make sure that people who come here to vote are actually do not suffer the scorching heat. Although the weather is pleasant, the coolers have been put to make sure that people who are standing in the queues get some respite from the scorching heat, or from the heat waves which is very likely in Raipur. I would like to talk to a voter who's casted his ballot. Sir, what's your name?
My name is Subhash Raj Chaudhary from Raipur itself. I am a senior citizen. My age is 75 plus, and I have casted my vote.
How are you feeling casting your ballot, sir, today? And what is its significance according to you?
My significance is very good, because today's weather is supporting. Our people are very enthusiastic, and they are putting their rights of voting. Since morning 7 o'clock, I vote at about 7:35.
Proper arrangements have also been made.
Arrangements are very nice, very, very nice. I can't explain in words, but I have seen that the arrangements are very nice.
All right. So that was
Right.
a senior citizen voter who just had a word with us, Preeti, and he said that
Yes.
he's very happy with the arrangements made by the Election Commission. They have provided shelters, they have provided drinking water. There's also a ORS corner right out there. Drinking water and coolers have also been put out here.
Yes,
so
indeed.
that people who come here to cast their ballot, they
measures-
don't need to, suffer the heat waves. And if they're thirsty, they can quench their thirst
Yes,
with
indeed. The
drinking water
measures
as well.
by
So
the Election
atmosphere
Commission
as far as the
have
voting
also
is
been appreciated by the Prime Minister today morning when he cast his vote. He appreciated the Election Commission of India for using technology to optimum use to encourage the voters to step out and vote. Thank you all three of you for joining in and getting us those details. We were joined in by Akshay, we were joined in by Gautam and Siddharth from Bhopal, from Murshidabad in West Bengal and Raipur in Chhattisgarh respectively. They spelled out for us how the day has begun on a good note when we talk of voting percentage, though it's a little too early to talk about the voter turnout, but all three of them say that people have come out in huge numbers right from the beginning of the morning to cast their votes in the respective areas they were reporting from. We'll keep you updated. Up next, we're heading for a short break. You are watching DD India News Hour. Stay with us. We'll be back in a short while.
As India decides in the world's largest election,
We help you feel the pulse of the nation.
I am Sakal Bhatt.
I am Shubhendu Ghosh.
This election season, join us on a journey of India.
We are in Assam. This is the tea city of India.
From down south, Tamil Nadu,
Discover the colors of democracy.
gateway to northeast of India.
Coastal state of Kerala. Watch Poll Pulse on DT India.
The Darjeeling Himalayan Railway isn't just a stretch of tracks. It's a historical marvel that winds its way through time and terrain. It has UNESCO World Heritage status because it is an innovative transportation system developed in the 19th century that transformed the landscape of the Darjeeling Hills from a cluster of huts to a bustling hub of culture and commerce. In 1878, Franklin Prestige, regarded as the founder of this Wonder Rail link, saw immense possibilities in linking the hills of Darjeeling and the plains by rail. Prices of essential commodities were 3 times dearer in the hills than in the plains.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour and I'm Preeti. A quick relook at the top stories once again. India votes in the third phase of parliamentary election. 93 seats up for grabs across 11 states and union territories. Prime Minister Narendra Modi cast his vote in Ahmedabad. Other prominent leaders also exercised their franchise across many states. Israel vows to continue Rafah operation even after Hamas sends its response to the ceasefire deal. Says terms did not meet its demands. Qatari delegation will head to Cairo on Tuesday to resume indirect negotiations. Donald Trump warned of jail time by judge in hush money trial for violating gag order. Also fined $1,000 and held in contempt of court for the 10th time on Monday. All right, getting you more on electioneering in the country. The country is witnessing the third phase of polling. Former Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa and his son, State BJP Chief B.Y. Vijendra, cast their votes in Shivamoga. "14 out of 28 seats in Karnataka are up for grabs today in the third phase of polling in the state. Former Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa and his son, just a while back, we saw them cast their votes in Shivamogga. B.S. Yediyurappa cast his vote in Shivamogga in the state of Karnataka today. Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar also cast his vote in Baramati. BJP candidate from Kalaburgi constituency, Umesh Jadhav, also exercised his franchise at a polling booth in Kalaburgi. Madhya Pradesh BJP president and candidate from Khajuraho constituency, V.D. Sharma, cast his vote in Bhopal. Bharatiya Janata Party candidate from South Goa constituency, Pallavi Dempo, cast her vote during the early hours of voting today. Congress candidate from Maharashtra's Solapur, Praniti Shinde, and former Maharashtra Chief Minister Sushil Kumar Shinde also cast their vote at a polling booth in Solapur. Congress leader Amit Deshmukh and his wife Aditi Deshmukh also cast their votes at a polling booth in Latur. In an interview to a private news channel, Prime Minister slammed Congress for not giving importance to the Constitution. Prime Minister said leader of the opposition in the lower house opposed his proposal of celebrating Constitution Day in Parliament.
इन्होंने संविधान की कभी परवाह नहीं की। जब मैंने पार्लियामेंट में प्रस्ताव लाया कि हम संविधान दिवस मनाना चाहते हैं, खरगे जी ने खुद ने पार्लियामेंट में विरोध किया। उनका भाषण है, उन्होंने कहा 26 जनवरी तो है, अलग से संविधान दिवस मनाने की जरूरत क्या है। मैंने कहा भाई ये ग्रंथ जो है वो हमारी आने वाली पीढ़ियों को उसके प्रति एक श्रद्धा का भाव पैदा करना चाहिए। स्कूल, कॉलेज, डिबेट सब जगह भी चर्चा नहीं, जब उसका महात्म्य बढ़ाएंगे तो। फिर मैंने कहा कि जब उसके 60 साल हुए थे संविधान के, तब भारत ने इसको अच्छे ढंग से मनाना चाहिए था। 50 साल हुए तब मनाना चाहिए था। जब 60 साल हुए तो मैंने बड़े शान से ये संविधान दिवस मनाया।
Prime Minister Modi slammed JDS MP Prajwal Ravana for his actions. He said that these tyrants should be punished with all possible laws and not be spared.
साफ मत है कि ऐसे अत्याचारियों को जरा भी बख्शा नहीं जाना चाहिए। कठोर से कठोर सजा होनी चाहिए और जो भी कानूनी रास्ते हो उनका भरपूर इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए। लेकिन ये 2900 या 3000 या 5000 जो भी हो, एक दिन की तो होगी नहीं। इसका मतलब तबका है जब वो उनके सरकार के भागीदार थे, देवगौड़ा जी की पार्टी और कांग्रेस पार्टनर में थे, तबका है। इसका मतलब उन्होंने सरकार में रहते हुए ये सारा इकट्ठा करके रखा। इसका मतलब ये उनका राजनीतिक खेल है।
Talking about the Citizenship Amendment Act, Prime Minister Modi said that CAA is about providing citizenship to certain religious minorities from the neighboring countries.
हम सीएए का कानून लाए, साफ साफ लिखा हुआ है, साफ साफ कहा गया है, न बोलने में किसी ने गलती की है, न लिखने में गलती की है, न देश के कानून में कोई गलती है। सीधा सीधा वो कानून सिटीजनशिप देने के लिए है, उसमें कहीं पर भी सिटीजनशिप लेने का नहीं है।
All right, from here we'll bring in Yogesh Sheetal, who is joining us from Baramati to get us more on the polling exercise there. Yogesh, good morning. You're there in Baramati. Let us get more details from you, the latest update on how has polling begun in Baramati, and also when we talk of the seats there, the political contest, the highlights of the third phase of polling in Maharashtra. Let us get all of this from you now.
Good morning, Preeti. A very good morning to our viewers also. The latest update is just Sharad Pawar had just entered. Sharad Pawar, the former CM and also the Union Minister, former Union Minister, NCP chief, had just reached here to exercise his franchise. He's accompanied with Supriya Sule, who is his daughter, and also the candidate from this seat. We know that this is the most debated seats in Western Maharashtra because this is the first time when Pawar versus Pawar is, is just going on here, and that has made the entire political battle in Baramati, particularly Western Maharashtra, is very interesting. Coming to other pockets of Maharashtra, basically we know there are 11 seats where the contest is going on, where the polling is underway on 23,033 seats. A total of 258 candidates are in the fray. And coming to different pockets, there are 3 pockets basically in the Western Marathwada. There are 2 seats, Latur and Osmanabad. In Konkan region, there are 2 seats. First is Sindhudurg Ratnagiri, one constituency, and another constituency is Raigad. And the third is Western Maharashtra. There are 7 seats in Western Maharashtra. Coming to the important candidates, let me tell you that this is apart from Baramati, there are other constituencies like in Osmanabad, Praniti Sinde is contesting there. Coming to Konkan region basically, because Konkan is the first time where BJP has fielded his candidate. Nara Rani is contesting from that seat. This is the first time because Konkan has been considered as a bastion for Shiv Sena. First time BJP has fielded its candidate. Now coming to other pockets, basically coming to that important candidates, the Chhatrapati Shahuji and the other candidate in Satara, basically Udayan Raje. These are 2 candidates from Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj descendants, and they are also considered very important seats basically. And coming to NCP and Shiv Sena, basically we know that both the regional parties, strong regional parties, have a split recently, and on some seats like in Osmanabad, in Baramati and in Raigad, in 3 seats basically NCP has to show their power, because we know that the Maharashtra Assembly election, which is due in the by this year only, by the end of this year. So this election, this result will definitely give a clear picture when it comes to strength and when it comes to hold on the constituencies. So this phase is going to be very important. Also, before I conclude, let me tell you that in the first phase there were 5 seats. Second phase there were 7 seats. In this phase there are 11 seats. A total of 23 seats would be contested by the end of this day, and a total of 48 seats. So we can 48 seats in Maharashtra. So 23 seats out of 48 seats, we can say that 50% of Maharashtra will be covered in this election. Around 50% of Maharashtra election will be completed by today. So it remains to be seen that what would be the turnout. But in the morning, I would like to request my camera person to just show you a glimpse that how people are lined up. Many people have already entered. Many people are lined up. They are waiting for their number. And in this school, there are 8 constituencies which have been set up in this school. It's a big school in Baramati. 8 polling booths have been set up, and the polling has been started in a very positive note. We have seen it gained good momentum in the morning, and also you can see at this time a lot of people have turned up. Basically, women in large numbers have turned up to exercise their franchise. So we can expect a good voter turnout, comparatively better turnout when we compare it from the all 2 phases that have completed in Maharashtra as of now.
All right, Yogesh. Thank you for joining in with those details. We'll come back to you again during the day to get more on how the day is progressing in Baramati in Maharashtra. For our viewers, this is the third phase of polling that the country is witnessing today, and we've been getting continued inputs from our correspondents from different parts of the country telling us about the voter turnout so far since the morning began. We'll keep you posted throughout the day, but at present we'll turn focus to international updates. Talking of the Israel-Hamas crisis, Hamas on Monday agreed to a Gaza ceasefire proposal from mediators, but Israel said that the terms did not meet its demands. The The development in the 7-month-old conflict comes as Israeli military pressed ahead with strikes in Rafah on Gaza's southern edge from the air and ground. This comes after it ordered residents to leave parts of the city. After Hamas accepted the proposal, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said the deal fell short of their demands, but still would send a delegation to meet with negotiators to try to reach an agreement. Qatar's foreign ministry said its delegation will head to Cairo on Tuesday to resume indirect negotiations between Israel and Hamas. Meanwhile, the White House is reviewing Hamas's response on deal and said that it was absolutely achievable. White House spokesperson John Kirby said that CIA Director William Burns was in the region having discussions on the proposal.
We're currently reviewing that response and we're discussing it with our partners in the region. Director Burns, as you know, is there and he's working this in real time on the ground. But we continue to believe that the hostage deal is the best way to avoid that sort of an outcome, while securing the release of those hostages. And as I said, those conversations continue.
Vladimir Putin will be sworn in for the 6th term as president of Russia on Tuesday. The United States and most European Union nations will not attend the ceremony. The U.S. State Department said that U.S. did not consider that the election was free and fair. Britain, Germany and Canada also said that they would not send anyone to attend the ceremony. The Ukrainian Foreign Ministry said Ukraine sees no legal grounds for recognizing him as the democratically elected and legitimate president of the Russian Federation. Also, France and some other EU states were expected to send an envoy despite a plea by Kyiv. Putin won a landslide victory in a presidential election in March. In another major setback to Donald Trump, a judge in the hush money trial case has fined him $1,000 and held him in contempt of court for a 10th time on Monday for violating a gag order. The judge further warned that violations could land the former president in jail, which are punishable by fines of up to $1,000 or jail time of up to 30 days. The order prevents Trump from making statements about jurors, witnesses and families of the judge and prosecutors if meant to interfere with the case. Trump has pleaded not guilty and denies wrongdoing.
Right to speak. I was in Miami this weekend, and reporters are asking me questions, the same questions like you're asking me, and I have to say I have a gag order, I can't speak about it. Never happened before, ever. Number one. Number two, it's a fake trial. They have no case. And it's been absolutely proven now. They have no case whatsoever. This is Alvin Bragg doing it for political reasons for Biden. This is a Biden trial. He's a crooked president.
Floodwaters in parts of southeast Texas began to recede on Monday, allowing residents to begin returning to their homes and assess damages after days of heavy rainfall that pummeled the area and led to hundreds of rescues. National Weather Service meteorologists said that flooded areas around the Trinity and San Jacinto rivers could take several weeks to fully recover from the excessive rainfall in the recent days. Families searched for their loved ones on Monday after heavy rains in southern Brazil left havoc and at least 83 people died and 111 were missing. The storms have affected more than two-thirds of the nearly 500 cities in the state, leaving hundreds of thousands displaced. Weather conditions improved on Monday, but showers are expected to return at lower volumes later this week. You're watching DD India News Hour, and up next we'll get you sports updates. India's Manika Batra stunned world number 2 Wong Manyo to secure the biggest win of her singles career to progress to the round of 16 at Saudi Smash in Jeddah on Monday. Batra, who recently lost her status as the top-ranked Indian female to Srija Akula, beat China's Wong 6-11, 11-5, 11-7, 12-10 in just 37 minutes. The Indian will face world number 14 Germany's Nina Mittelheim for a place in the quarterfinals. World number 39, Batra began her campaign with a 3-0 win over Romania's Andrea Dragoman on Saturday. Suryakumar Yadav slammed a sensational century as Mumbai Indians beat Sunrisers Hyderabad by 7 wickets to keep their IPL playoff dreams alive. Earlier, Hyderabad posted a total of 173 for 8 in 20 overs, with Travis Head top scoring with 48. Hardik Pandya and Piyush Chawla took 3 wickets each, while Jasprit Bumrah contributed with 1 scalp for Mumbai. Mumbai Indians debutant Anshul Kamboj, who was initially denied by a no ball and a dropped catch, finally took his first IPL wicket after dismissing Mayank Agrawal. Meanwhile, Delhi Capitals will go head-on-head with Rajasthan Royals at the Arun Jaitley Stadium today. That's it in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.